How are you? Director Jaddou, how are you?
Very good to see you, Ali. It's so nice to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And let's hope the gods of technology cooperate with us for the next few
Yes,
minutes.
I appreciate that. Yes.
So
Apologies for my tech issues early on.
no worries. So I first of all, I thank you. I think that the Biden administration has made some remarkable hires across DHS, across state, across HHS that all address immigration. But I have to say, when I heard that you had been appointed to run U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services without a beat, I was like, oh yeah, they got the right person. So I know we're just so thrilled that you're there. So thank you. So what was your parents' reaction when you were appointed to this position? So take this opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, first, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done to bring this together. This is a really great convening, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. One of the things that I really focused on, and I know that even before my arrival at USCIS, we really value these types of events. We value being a part of them. We value listening. And I just want to thank you for bringing everybody together today and then including us. So thank you. And thank you to all the participants that are here. Well, I really can't say how proud my parents would be for me in this amazing, it's just been something that I don't know as immigrants themselves. My mom was from Iraq. My mom was from Mexico. My dad was from Iraq. And for them to see their youngest daughter be in a position this way, and I think they would have just been so proud. And so I am feeling particularly honored by that. And I just feel proud to be in this agency, leading this agency that naturalized my parents. So it is a moment and it's very special to me. And I recently had my very first naturalization ceremony that I presided over as director, and it was really a special moment for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, USCIS is a massive operation that I'm sure a number of our audience realizes, but I'm sure a lot of other folks would be surprised. So, you and your team came into your roles after 4 years under administration, where USCIS was, resources were taken away, systems were bogged down. You came into a pretty tough situation. So I was wondering if you could kind of lay out what's your agenda, what's your vision, what's your approach to not just rebuilding or building USCIS, but really making sure that on the other end of this, things are even better than, say at the end of the Obama administration.
Right. I absolutely. I see this, and I know that our team and USCIS sees this as a moment for all of us to reset, to refocus. For the past year, USCIS has already done a lot of this. They reversed a lot of the disastrous effects of COVID-19 and the financial mismanagement over the past few years. So certainly that is something that we're very focused on and have been focused on. But we also, as you stated, want to build it back even better. And we want a more inclusive, a more welcoming United States. And this is really part of our big picture at USCIS. We really, in order to do this, though, you have to fix the fiscal and operational health of the agency, which was challenged last year, as many of you know. And without this solid financial footing, without solid operational health, we can't really achieve what we all want to efficiently deliver the benefits and the services to eligible individuals who seek the benefits and want to renew their existing benefits. And just so you know, some of the challenges that we faced with COVID-19, just that we had to, like everybody else, we closed. And in those first initial months, so we temporarily suspended in-person services for 3 whole months. And that really took a toll on our processing times and our backlog. We were unable to process paper applications and corresponding fees that were sent to lockboxes. This is where we collect them. And we created, essentially, because of this time, we created what was called, as many termed, a front log of 1 million unopened applications. So we had to cancel and stop scheduling biometrics collection. That's another in-person event that's required. So those were some of the challenges. And even after reopening, after those first 3 months, there was a lot of, how do we do this? How do we do this while implementing physical distancing requirements that really limited us and slowed us down even further? But in the middle of all this, because of management missteps, there were certainly also a dramatic decline in receipts at the outset of COVID-19. The budget was significantly strained because of that, but also some decisions on management were made that nearly led to a furlough situation last year, just in the fall. We avoided the furlough, thankfully, but we had to take other cost-cutting measures, including hiring freezes, that made it difficult to manage, as you can see, what was a growing backlog. And that's a lot of bad news. I recognize that. And I wish I could say it's all in the past, but there are things that we're dealing with, and they are things that we are addressing. And certainly it has harmed some of our ability to process efficiently. But the good news is, with a little time and recognition that we all had to learn to live, to work within COVID, USCIS has innovated, and we've overcome quite a few challenges. There's a lot more to go, but we're finding our way out of this. And I can just give you some examples. We've had some, we've extended hours at our application support centers. We temporarily suspended biometric requirements for certain non-immigrants to extend their status. We dropped the application support center sort of backlog from 1.4 million in just January of this year to just 179,000, which is a working load in October of this year. We've expanded our staffing at our lockbox, so we drove down that front log. It doesn't exist. It's gone. It was gone as of July. And we have a lot of innovative operational changes like video facilitated interviews. There's just so much I can tell you about. I don't want to eat up too much time, but,
right.
but our folks have found a lot of solutions and a lot of ways out of this. And yes, I know I'm the first to recognize there's just so much more left, and we're working away at it day by day, and we'll continue to do so.
You mentioned something around the fiscal health of USCIS. So folks may or may not know this, but USCIS is by and large fee funded. So unless you get an application, you get no revenue. Is there thinking internally, and I imagine this may also require congressional action, to move from a model that is purely fee funded as opposed to something that, there's a more stable source of revenue for USCIS?
Yeah, I really appreciate you raising that point, because that is one of the things that I knew, but now I really know being here. We have an increasing humanitarian mission, and that humanitarian mission is not fee funded. And just the perfect example was Operation Allies Welcome. Everybody jumped to service. We're all very happy to be a part of that, but it's new work that was unplanned. So it wasn't in our fee rule from 2016. And it certainly wasn't in our planning for the year. So all of a sudden, we have to come up with how to pay for all of this. So I have to say that I want to thank everybody that supported us on the Hill. We did achieve some appropriations, which was unprecedented for this. And that is so helpful, because for the first time, we can now have money to cover some of those costs. I do want to say, though, that just the realities of when we get this money, it doesn't mean that tomorrow immediately we can hire someone to now take on new work. It takes time. Then we have that money. We can then now start to implement it into our budgets. Hiring processes take really time, as you know, and even when you rush it, and also training. We want to make sure that people are properly trained for the services that they're rendering. So everything that is happening now is so helpful, and will certainly achieve that fiscal and operational health for us in the future. And also to note that one-time appropriations is wonderful too, because we have a lot of things that we have to pay for as one-time money. But when we hire somebody, it's not one time, it's not 1 year, it is a multi-year process. So we need to think about, what does that mean? How do we sustain employees, not just for a year, not just for 2 years, but for the longer term, so that we can plan and ensure that we have the staff ready to take in the things that are coming in to be adjudicated.
So you mentioned Operation Evacuate Our Allies, and yesterday we talked to the UNHCR High Commissioner. We also talked to a number of other folks who are involved in one way or another, who are going to be helping resettle Afghan families. So if you could maybe describe the process that somebody was going to be going through as they leave a military base in the U.S., kind of resettle into a community, let's just say like Akron, Ohio, and then, what's the process that they're going to go through once they engage USCIS? And, is there the capacity on your parts to, ensure that that process can move forward in a timely way?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that point. As I stated, the response to Afghanistan has been and really continues to be a whole of government effort, and we're part of it. And we're, in a certain sense, we're now at the tail end of the process, because now, while others were involved in evacuation, we're now involved with the part that ensures a permanent resettlement. And of course, at the moment, the vast majority are here under parole, but for a longer term resettlement, we're prepared to take in, of course, special immigrant visa applications and adjustments that normally we don't do. Normally, these were not adjustments. These were people that were entering as lawful permanent residents in general. But now we are prepared to do that, and we are setting ourselves up to begin to accept those adjustment applications that will come from special immigrants who are here now. But there are also people who may apply for asylum. So we are also getting ourselves ready to process a lot of asylum applications. And there are people here who are family members of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, or family members of refugees. So it really is a mixed bag, and we are preparing the agency for this. And the applications they've trickled in at this point, but certainly they will increase over time as people get resettled and are able to begin that process. But we are ready, and we've been asked, as Congress has suggested to us, we've been asked to prioritize this, and certainly that's something that we are doing.
And I just got to say thank you very much. I mean, I know a lot of folks, 6 weeks ago, they were home in Afghanistan. Now they are, about to begin an entirely new life. And I would say that the USCIS role is much more than kind of the tail end. It's kind of, in many ways, it is really, truly the beginning of something new for so many people to be able to go through that process. Wonder if you could talk a little bit about the status of DACA as a program, but then also applications and renewals, how that system and that process is playing out for you.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of focus because there has been certainly a lot of concern raised about renewals, particularly to ensure that people don't lose their work authorization. And so we have worked very much so over the last several months, finding a way to, if someone is getting close to their expiration, being able to pull them out and try to adjudicate them before they fall out. We're also trying to figure out what are the reasons that are making people go slowly. What's the problem? Are there policy problems? Are there operational problems? And so those are some of the things that we're looking at to fix. And that gets me also to just to raise a heavy focus that we have is on efficiency. We're really, as I stated earlier, we can't if we can't efficiently process the applications for these benefits that people may be eligible for, we cannot process them in an efficient period of time, we're not conducting our mission. And so it is so important for us to do that And so I have brought on a seasoned career civil servant who has been with the agency and understands operations, and who can guide us and help us find the places where there may not be a legal, a policy, a security, an integrity reason why we're doing this in the process that is slowing us down. So in addition to hiring more people and getting more resources to be able to process, but also making sure that we're processing as well as we can. And so those are the things that I'm heavily focused on. And I'm hoping that, little by little, we chip off those extra bureaucracies that really, we don't know why they're there. And we'll see some results over time.
So, a lot of what the previous administration did was obviously very substantive and very, they made a lot of changes that made it incredibly difficult for somebody to enter the country, much less, go through a process to seek permanent residency or citizenship or non-immigrant visa. But one of the things that the previous administration did is that they changed the mission of USCIS. And you've mentioned that a couple of times, right? And the mission of the agency. Is there an internal conversation of saying, okay, you know what? We're going to return to the previous mission of the organization and really fully endorse that we are a nation of immigrants?
So thank you for raising that. Indeed, we are discussing what exactly is our mission.
This is your opportunity to make news.
It is. Well, I like everything else that we're doing at USCIS. It's really important for us to reset, but not just to reset to where we were, but also to refocus and to think about what does it mean to be an inclusive and a welcoming nation, a nation of possibility. It doesn't have to mean exactly what it was back in 2015, 2016. Build back better. And that's what we're thinking about. So certainly we are taking a look at the old one but also coming up with, well, was that enough? Is that exactly what we were working towards? So we're thinking about it and hopefully soon we'll have something.
So for a lot of USCIS for many immigrants is kind of their first engagement with the U.S. government. And so I have to imagine a lot of your role is help improving staff morale within USCIS, so that staff are supported. But like I said, ultimately that first point of contact for the immigrant is a good experience. So how are you approaching that part of the job? Because I not only is it important, but I imagine in the days of COVID, it's also got to be more difficult too.
Yeah, it's complicated in the days of COVID for sure. That gets to, we just talked about the mission. It gets to what is our mission? What are we here to do? So certainly starting there and ensuring that everybody's bought into this mission, that we all agree with it and all understand it. And it's not just for the people that work for USCIS and participate in this federal service, but also for people that are applying to us. And you're right that we're often the first contact. And it's a moment for us to share what we think should be a welcoming, inclusive agency and how we operate. So we are looking at that from all angles. And really I don't want to say the easiest, but one of the first things that we did, of course, is open up public engagement. We want to be engaged. We need to learn and hear from people that we are actually processing requests from. And it's so important to hear from everybody. It will help us. And it'll only make us a better agency at achieving our mission.
Well, Director Jaddou, really want to thank you for your time. Secretary Mayorkas was supposed to join us, but his COVID test came back positive, and you stepped in. And don't tell him this, but you're 10 times more interesting. But seriously, we all hope that he has a recovery if he is feeling any symptoms of COVID-19. But again, really, thank you so much for your leadership, for your team. But we've had the opportunity to work together for many years now when you're on the House and other places. So, like I said, I think that your appointment and confirmation was really one of the best things that could have happened for immigrants and immigration in the U.S. So, thank you again for the time, and thanks for everything.
I want to thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure being here. And again, more of these, we want to be participants in them as much as possible. So please reach out and of course, not just to your organization, but also the many others that are represented here.
Yeah, I'm sure some of our colleague organizations would love to host you in different parts of the country. So would love to make those connections.
Great.